What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Bianconeri Zone for transfer life again because season has ended. Don't want to talk about what happened. With me today is Dash. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Nice to be here again.
Let me see. Let me click this way. Okay, I know people will talk about the mic. It's a different mic, so if it still has the same issue, I need to dig deeper. And apologies for that because I don't know what it is. I'm trying everything, but we will talk about transfers. We will talk about basically the same news. Not the same. Like more things came out since the start of the week. I would say um, more concrete things, like better things, in my opinion. I will start off with okay. The title of the show is six players, 6 to 7 players coming in. That comes from Romeo Grissi, who is saying this. I would say since month and a half now, at least. So you would say it's reliable. I will put that to the side really quickly because before we went live, the news broke. Not the news broke. Like Sky reported that the deal for the lake is basically done, and it will be announced soon. It's 25 with a significant lowering of the release clause. Um, I will say this now. Um, okay, the release clause. First of all, I think it's a stupid thing. Like in general, I I think it's pointless in my opinion. I know I will say why it's pointless because it's the release clause for him is already ridiculous. Like nobody's gonna pay that for a defender ever. Nobody's gonna even pay 125 for Virgil van Dijk. Like no club can sell his fans. We wasted not wasted. We expended our entire transfer budget on a central defender. Like no club can do that. Like me as a fan, if the club say we spent 125 or 50 on Van Dijk, I'm like, why? Like, what's the point? Um, so for me, the release clause is kind of pointless. For me, it's pointless. Now, I say scrap it completely. Like, let him sign a new deal. Just throw it away. You know. And if not, if that's an issue for his and his entourage, then you need to sit down as a club and make a decision. Because I like the league. Like people know how much I like the league. But at the end of the day, the club. I think about the club. And if it's a release clause reportedly of 75, 80, that's what we paid for him. And I know somebody told me and said, "Oh, but the book value has decreased. So we're gonna make profit." I'm like, yeah, but like that's not really how it works. Like you're selling, like the release clause is gonna be basically the same for what you paid for him, and that was never the plan. The plan was, I don't think the plan was he's gonna play his entire career for us. That's number one. But I think the plan was we're gonna sell with a profit, and with a profit, forget about the book value because that's not how the club is thinking. They were thinking about we will sell him for 100 or something like that. So I think the club needs to make a decision. If the release loss, like reportedly, is actually the same as what we paid in the first instant, like 2, 3 years ago, I think the club needs to make a decision this summer. What do you think about that?
No, I think the same thing too. I mean, even if there's only a handful of clubs that I think that could actually pay that, even with the same amount that we paid a couple years ago. But I mean, it's still something. It's not something that's good to have. I mean, I just don't like release clauses. I think they're absolutely stupid just because it kind of gives the player an out in a way for a certain club or a certain thing. I think a release clause might be beneficial to someone that's kind of developing or a younger player, but when you're looking at your like bigger name players, having them I think is kind of redundant. And the fact that it's going to go down to what we paid for them. I mean, I get people are saying that you can sell them essentially and still make your money back, but that to me is kind of a red flag from the player where he's trying to reduce his release clause, which means it takes away the club's negotiating power with different clubs. So when you have that release clause, the club can say, hey, we're going to match the release clause so we don't have to negotiate with you, and we're going to talk directly to the agent. And then the deal's done. But I don't know. It's good that he wants to renew, but at the same time, I'm not too particular about reducing the release clause, especially when you have Chelsea, Real Madrid, PSG, even Man United that can instantly, with the snap of their fingers, trigger that release clause, especially with how low it's projected to go.
Yeah. And you're saying if you keep him for another year and sell for 85 next season, I don't see the issue. If he wants to go, he will go. When we won't go and keep as a will. For me, it's an issue, because sell him now when his stocks are even higher, because Chelsea are desperate. They're gonna pay because they have no defender. It's done. Like, everybody is leaving. They have no defender, so they're in desperation mode. They're gonna pay. I see Tottenham ready to pay 80 mil for Bastoni. I'm like, what the hell is wrong? And people were trying to convince me he's worth 80 mil. I'm like, he's not. Like, I'm sorry, he's not. So people are desperate. They're gonna pay for the league even this summer. Like, that's never gonna be an issue. Again, if we sell for the same price, I think it's been, I won't say a flop, but it's been pointless in my opinion. It's been absolutely pointless. Because the win was you're going to keep him, he's going to come in and he's going to play 10, 12 years for the club. Or you're going to sell higher than what you paid for. If you sell for the same value, it's been pointless in my opinion. It failed, and I think you basically are trying to say we made a mistake back then. We wasted our entire budget basically on one player, and it didn't work out. That's what I think. And even saying no club is going to pay more than 80 even this year, it's not going to change, but we'll keep him another year. Chelsea are gonna pay. They're gonna pay 80 mil for Koundé. They're ready to pay 80 million euros for Koundé, and he's not better than the league. He's not. They're gonna pay because if the club is desperate, they're gonna pay. Manu was desperate for a defender. They paid 80 mil for Maguire.
Yeah,
Arsenal were desperate.
They paid 80 for.
Arsenal were desperate. They paid 50 for Ben White. If clubs are desperate, they do stupid things. Especially clubs with money. They do. And Chelsea, they lost Rudiger, Christensen, Alonso. Okay, he's not essential. Azpilicueta is on the verge of leaving. Like, their desperation mode is on a different level. So I don't think 85 for De Ligt, they're gonna pay. If you tell anyone now this summer you can get De Ligt for 85, he's gone. The offers are coming in. PSG have Marquinhos and Kimpembe. You don't think they're gonna pay 85? They're gonna do it. They're gonna do it.
Especially with Man United and Ten Hag.
Yeah. Like, the clubs, like, that's not an issue. I agree they're not going to pay 100, 120 because nobody's going to pay that for a defender ever. So I understand why the Lakes camp is asking for a reduction. But a reduction to what we paid for, then no. Then just scrap it completely and you dictate the terms. And if that's the case, if his entourage is saying, no, we're not doing that this summer, then we don't sign, then it's a decision time, in my opinion. Because I like the league. Like, I defended him a lot, even when maybe I shouldn't be defending him because he was at fault, But at the end of the day, it's the club. So, but yeah, that's the league situation. Let's see. It's a rumor. It's Sky Sport. Like, maybe the release clause is 90. If it's more than what we pay for, I'm okay with it. If it's basically the same or less, then it's been pointless. It failed. The club basically is telling the fans it failed because nothing went to plan. Nothing. And he's saying there's a lot of talented CB out there. No shortage, no issue if he stays or goes for me. But better for him to go next season because we're losing Chiellini this year. Yeah, but like, if we are losing money, then no, it's not better. In my opinion, it's not. Then yeah, we will struggle to fit in 2 center backs. I agree with that. But I don't think the club is going to, cry about that, in my opinion.
No, I don't think so either.
Let's see how it will pan out. There are a lot of defenders out there, but De Ligt has a name, and clubs with a lot of money will pay for a name. That's how it works. That's how we operate most of the time. Also, you know, we could go for
Yep.
Sinistera instead of Di Maria. Okay, he's free. That's maybe a bad example, but you know what I mean. You know, we go for names. Like top clubs, they go for name. You know? But it is what it is. Let's move to the topic of the show, basically, and that's Romeo Christi saying Allegri wants 6 to 7 players, so every position bar the goalkeeping position. Remember when we talked about how many signings we will make, and it was like, oh, 5, that's a stretch. So I said 4, like 6 to 7. I'm like, how, when? Like, so we're gonna talk about that. Before we talk about incomings, we need to talk about outgoings, because I don't think we are discussing that enough, in my opinion. Because yeah, Bernardeschi's gone, but he's free. Dybala's gone, he's free. Morata's gone because he was not a player. So there's no money coming in. That's number one. That's one. Ramsey's coming back. You're gonna terminate his contract. You need to pay him. That's 3, 4. No money, you know. And Chiellini is gone. That's 5. No money. How are we gonna recoup money? Do you have any? Because I don't have an idea. I don't see where the money is coming from at the moment. Are we gonna sell a big player? I think that's something we need to think about, because Di Maria is free, Pogba is free. I get that, but like the wages are 7, 10. So that's a lot of money. So do you believe we're gonna sell a player where we will say, why are you selling them? But it's because of the money. Do you think we're gonna sell a big player?
I mean, unless Arthur's not technically a big player, but I think he's probably the person that gets sold, and then I'm honestly not surprised if we sell De Ligt to cash in at something at some point if the club really needs it, unless the club's getting injected funds by Exor, because it doesn't make sense how you can regroup 6 players easy like that, especially when you don't have anything coming in. So because it's also, you also have to take into consideration that they also apparently use the summer budget for Vlahovic and Zakaria in the winter too. So it's like, unless they have certain kind of merchandising or fundraising that they did on the side, I don't even know, to be honest with you, unless they sell De Ligt. That's the only thing I can think of if you're going to fund a big squad overhaul.
Yeah, I mean, saying we're losing 3, 4 attackers, it makes sense. Yeah, I know it makes sense, because we need to replace the players, because there's a shortage of players. Like that's one, like that's obvious, you know. It's just, where's the money coming from, and who on earth are we gonna sell? Buy also, because at the moment we're looking at free agent / cheap. I would say like Kostic. That's cheap. That's very cheap, basically. Pogba is free. Di Maria is free.
Yeah,
And then
Pogba's free. I think Udogi's what, 30 million. That's allegedly. We don't even know if that's true or not.
and Romeo said Emerson today again, and that's also, I won't say free, but that's basically free.
Yeah, maybe 10 million tops.
That's a stretch already. Like if you pay 10 million euro for Emerson, oh my god. I think he has 1 year left on the deal, maybe 2, but like they sent him out on loan to Lyon, and Lyon couldn't pay 10 million euros or something.
Yeah. Well, and then we also have to look at the untouchables, because he said Zakaria, McKennie, and Rabiot are all 3 of them are essentially non-transferable unless like a mega offer comes in. So club's not even going to shop Rabiot around, which I'm kind of surprised that there was such a turnaround. Like I don't know, unless they're just like, hey, he's a body that's always fit, if that's their standard, and if that's their standard, that's really, really low.
Yeah, Yeah, like the Arthur thing is also a weird one in my opinion. Um, because Arsenal don't want to pay, so you need to swap. You need a swap deal, and if they are offering Thomas Partey, I will cry. Like that's like just get rid of Arthur. I don't know how, but don't take the players you actually don't really want. But like you're like, okay, we got rid of Arthur, and then you're stuck with a player you actually didn't really want. That's for me. That's
Yeah.
also pointless because we're not in for Thomas Partey. It's just popping up now because they don't want to pay for Arthur, and we want to get rid of Arthur.
Well, the thing I don't understand is like some of the articles were saying that like our price for Arthur was 40 million and Arthur doesn't want to, or not Arthur, Arsenal doesn't want to pay 40 million for him, but they were willing to shell out 30, 40 million for Morata. So like that doesn't make sense to me at all.
No, yeah, I didn't believe the Morata story to Arsenal. That didn't make sense. I know they need a striker too, but Morata's not going to help them. Hanin is saying free agents first, swap if possible, and then what's left of the money for cheap players, Kostic, Udogi to fill in needed spots. Like that's the direction we're going in at the moment. It's free agents, it's cheap players, and I don't know. Like you need to bring in quality. Like bringing in six or seven players is it's good, but if it's not gonna improve you big time, then you basically could have kept the previous ones. Like Emerson.
Yeah.
Like that's pointless in my opinion. It's actually pointless. And keep Alexander and Pellegrini, ride it out for one more year. Like I don't see Emerson coming in and improving us big time. I struggle to see it because I've watched Emerson play the last 2-3 years. It's nothing. It's average at best, and we have that with Pellegrini, average at best.
Yeah. And the thing is too is like when you're switching that many players and if they're at the same level or worse, that's gonna hurt you so bad in the season that comes on. Because like remember when Milan bought like eight, they practically
Yeah.
bought an entire squad and then like they finished worse than they did the year before. So it's like uh like it's cool that like the club's being ambitious because I don't even remember the last time our club was like willing to pick up more than 3 or 4 players a transfer window. I mean like maybe one season that like we've seen something happen like that, and if anything it's not like they're picking up 4 to 5 starters, they're picking up 2 starters and then some like bench players or some backups, whereas like right now we're looking for a starting left back, starting midfielder, a reserve striker, starting winger, and then a reserve winger. So you're looking for stuff that's supposed to be quality. So for them to be able to put in that much, I'm a little bit perplexed and a lot worried at the same time because if Allegri can't get the system to gel together with all these guys, like we're going to Europa League or we're going to Conference League if that bottles like it does with Milan. So it's just one of those things where I get a little bit worried about that, but I don't know. It's for me, I'm a little bit just I gotta wait and see right now before I really say doom or gloom or anything like that, though.
I agree. It's different saying as an Arsenal fan, you can keep Morata and you can have Partey for free. Morata's not our player. He's back to Atletico, and I don't want Morata. I don't want. I'm not. Okay, I don't think Partey is a bad player, but I think he's overhyped. I think he's been overhyped a lot, and his injury record is not. It's not great, man. It's not. And I don't like. We have those players. We are bringing in one of those, one of that player. So that's underwhelming. That's actually underwhelming. It's just yeah, you get rid of Arthur and you get Partey. Do I think he will play better under Allegri? Then Arthur will be more valuable for Allegri, 100%. But like, a lot of players will be more valuable for Allegri. It doesn't mean we need to sign them. So let me see. We're gonna move on. outgoing, yeah, like Rabiot. Because the last, okay, really quickly, yesterday I woke up and I saw a report, Gazette dello Sport, saying Allegri doesn't want to sell Rabiot. He's gonna play Locatelli, Pogba, Rabiot. And I tweeted out, don't believe all these things because people were going mad. Like I said, they're making up stuff now. Today I wake up, Gazette dello Sport, boom, Arthur wants to leave. Juve is willing to work on a transfer. I'm like, I told you so. Like I told you so. If an offer comes in for Rabiot, the club will sell. They don't care about Allegri. He's out of contract. The club will sell. Rabiot was playing a lot because he's the only player fit. But again, the links are even Tottenham today. So it's Chelsea, Tottenham, and Newcastle. Do you believe he's gonna go to one of those teams? Like especially Chelsea. Out of all of them, like when I read Chelsea, I'm like, why? How?
Yeah, I'm curious to what Tuchel sees in him, because like Thomas Tuchel apparently wants him in the articles. So I'm like, I don't know, like if there's anyone that knows Chelsea in the chat, like is Chelsea having like a midfield crisis where they just need like a body in there? And then I think maybe Paratici for the Tottenham links, he's just kind of bringing in players from us that knows that can play. I don't even understand how Rabiot would fit in a Conte system, to be honest with you. I mean, if anything, just because he's fully fit all the time. And then I think Newcastle, just because Newcastle is getting ready to spend a lot of money so they can start climbing up the table, just because they have that new ownership now. So that's there. But hey, if any of them take him and we get a capital gain on it, I think it's a win regardless. So hopefully that happens, but you never know.
Yeah, I think he's gonna stay. Yeah, I don't see it. I saw also the report saying Juve won 30 mil. I'm like, that's why you don't need to believe everything you read. Like, I don't think Juve is that stupid to ask 30 mil for Rabiot. Nobody's paying 30 mil for Rabiot. Nobody. So it wasn't even worth that when he was playing at PSG and had a contract, a long-term contract, like 2-3 years. So I'm gonna say no. In terms of, yeah, I want him gone, but like no, nobody's gonna pay the money we are asking and his wage, because people forget his wage is 7 million euros. Like he comes in Newcastle, he will be smashing the the wage bill basically. 7 million euros. That's like even at Tottenham. Like I think Harry Kane just made that money. Son is not even on 7 mil, barely. I read. So I don't see it. I actually don't see it.
So there's a comment that answered the Tuchel question I put out there. So it says Tuchel likes Rabiot because our center defensive midfielders did not perform this season. But you still think Rabiot could start over Conte? Like I don't know about that. Conte or Kokovic or something like that. Like
Kante didn't had a great season, but like
yeah, but
if you've seen Rabiot play, then like I don't think they watch Rabiot. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think
so either.
because he's, or is he Chelsea fan? I don't know. If he's an Arsenal fan, I don't know. But like Rabiot is not coming in and he's gonna improve your midfield. He's not gonna do that. He is not gonna do that.
Yeah, he's just a serviceable piece that you put in as a complement to something, because he's not like he isn't your main center defensive pivot where he's like your playmaker in the back of the pitch, or he's not an offensive threat. I mean, like his dribbles and his shots aren't consistent, so you can't even consider him like a box to box threat. I mean, and it's for someone his size, every time I see him get bodied off the ball, I'm just like appalled that someone his stature and size just gets knocked off a ball, and like the player could be completely tinier than him, but it's just like for him, he's just like an average midfielder, like just an average box to box that isn't really dangerous. Like if you're gonna rate something on him, I guess his availability is an A because he's never hurt and he's always in condition. But like, you'd think with all those starts and all those minutes, you'd build some sort of consistency in your play style or the way that he moves. And for him, it's like there's games where we don't even know. Like one game, he'll beat four guys on the dribble and just nearly miss the goal and hit off the post. And then like the other game, he's pulling a Storaro where he's like tripping over the ball or tripping over his feet. So it's like it just surprises me because like usually you see players once they start getting like consistent starts, you start seeing things, they start improving. Like for example, with Meretti, like he had the 4 games at the end that he was playing, and you could see that he was adjusting his game and
He
adapting
was.
to it and getting better. Where it's like Rabiot, where I'm like, okay, cool, this guy looks like Patrick Vieira back in his Arsenal days when he was playing against Inter, and then it's like he played against Genoa, and I'm like, who's this guy?
Yeah. Yeah. Like I, I will be surprised if he leaves. I will be happy, but I will be actually shocked if he leaves. I would be shocked. But let's see, like the sources, like Nikoshira, it's picking up in the last few days. It's picking up. Let me see. I saw a comment. Oh, Hasa saying I read something about Lukaku and Juve. Yeah, I didn't put
Yeah,
that out there because yeah,
it, I don't like him. I'm sorry, everybody. I can't stand
yeah,
Lukaku.
but besides liking him, like it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen at all.
His wage is ridiculous, and like Chelsea paid plus 100 mil for him, which still is. I need to
Yeah,
applaud Inter for that because they ripped him off. Like,
I know. Like they robbed him so blind. Like I don't. And the thing is like what was crazy was all like the Chelsea fans were like, "Oh my God, we finally have a number 9, and we're gonna be good," and blah blah blah, and like all like that was the one time where I've seen all Serie A fans just band together, and like even Inter fans too. We're all just kind of like shaking our head, like, "No, he's not gonna work for you guys."
yeah. Marino saying Shira is a horrendous source. He's very good. He's very good. He's very good. A lot of people talk about Torreira. Jonathan Torreira, great occasion for 50 mil. Maybe you can enlighten me on Torreira. I don't see it. I don't like him. I never did. I remember after I woke up, Sampdoria, and then Arsenal bought him. Even that time, I'm like, he's a good player, but like, he's not gonna come in and change your midfield because that's what Arsenal fans thought. Like, he's not special, you know. He isn't, you know. So 50 mil, like, I get the price, but like, no, like, no. His level has also dropped like ever since he made that Arsenal move. He played decent this season, but it's no for me. Maybe you can, maybe you like him. I don't know.
Oh, I got nothing on that one. I to be honest with you, he's not even on my radar, so I don't even really have any interest in looking at him. I mean, it's funny. Jeff says he's a slight improvement on Storaro, so I mean that's not really much of an accomplishment.
He's better than
But
Solado.
yeah, yeah. But 'cause the thing is, like, if we were to get him, it would be like a bench or a rotational player that you would play against Salernitana or Genoa, but they're relegated. But like a bottom feeder team that you need to rotate your squad. That's where you put in a Torreira. You don't. He's not the guy that you start against. One of your top tier teams or your top 4 that you want to try to beat. So if it's a bench move, I guess I can see it. If it's like if you're looking at him like for him to come in and start, I don't know about that one.
Yeah, I agree. It's no, just no to me. Let's see. Someone really quickly is asking. Oh, he's a Madrid fan, I think, or she. What do you think about the Champions League final on Saturday? Also, Saturday is no live. I'm gonna watch the Champions League final, and after that, I'm not gonna live. I'm not going live unless some news break, like big time news. Otherwise, it's a day off. But what do you think about the final?
So for me on the final, so Madrid's got experience, Liverpool's got the better team. So the way that I see it is if Vinicius can hold Trent Alexander-Arnold back and force Salah to drop, then it's going to be Madrid's game. Because the thing is like it's almost like the same how they played against City. You have to beat the press. Once you beat the press, like any top Premier League team, so Liverpool and City both use that gegenpress tactic. So if you're able to force their wingbacks backwards, it forces their wingers to drop further down the pitch, which then opens a shot for you to go in. But if Madrid can't beat the high level press that Liverpool go in, and I think it's going to be dependent because I know that because it's their left, so it's going to be Carvajal and Vinicius, or sometimes Carvajal switches on the right. So whoever their left back is, I think it's Mendy. So if Mendy and Vinicius are able to push Liverpool's right flank and keep Trent Alexander-Arnold back, and then that forces Salah to help him out and drop back, it's going to be anyone's game. But if Liverpool establishes the press and forces Madrid's center backs to make an error, and their center backs aren't really that good, to be honest with you, City exploited them in the first leg where they bullied Madrid center backs to go up 2-0. It's just that, Manchester City can't defend to save their lives. And it's kind of the same with Liverpool. Liverpool have a little bit of a better defense than City do, but it's the same thing. So, like, Inter kind of showed everyone how to beat Liverpool per se. So, like, for example, they bombarded Trent Alexander-Arnold on his side with Perisic, which then forced their defense a little bit out of positioning, and their press wasn't working that well. I mean, granted, Inter couldn't finish their chances in the San Siro, and they finished their chance in Anfield, but they had that yellow card that was kind of sketchy. But it's Madrid's a more experienced team than Inter was, and Madrid's winger, so Vinicius is miles ahead of Perisic, and if Perisic could push them on the right side like that, then you just wonder what Vinicius, and also having Benzema in the middle too, because the thing is Virgil van Dijk is going to have to sit there and think, okay, do I man mark Benzema or do I shift over to help Trent Alexander-Arnold with Vinicius, because Trent Alexander-Arnold's not a good defender. He's a great offensive player as a right back, but he's like Joe Cancelo, like he can't defend well at all.
How
So
would they
that,
play
and
him?
then yeah. So, and then also you have a wild card on Madrid's right flank, because Rodrigo is there, but magically can turn up and score big goals out of nowhere. So I think Liverpool's hands are going to be full. Do I think it's clear cut? No. I think there's going to have to be a couple of things to go Madrid's way for them to win, because they're underdogs this year. But if we saw anything this year, Madrid just has that experience for the Champions League.
I think they have a great shot. Also because Liverpool, the last few games, they look very, very laggy. It's not going smoothly. The last few games, it's not. They Van Dijk played with an injury last game. Salah, he got a rest, and he came on. He's not 100%. But again, that game is different. They probably will be, but they look laggy. So for me, it's still 50-50. For me, it's a final. Anything can happen unless we play in it. Apparently, then we know what's gonna happen. Marino saying, do you know what positions Agressi's thinking of? He's at every position besides the goalkeeping. So yeah, that's that. Every position basically. Hasa saying Trent not being able to defend is such a mid low. No, he can defend, but he's not good at it. Like, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
we're not.
He's get caught out of position a lot of times.
Yeah,
And that's
we're
fine. Not
go ahead.
fine, but like that's how Liverpool play. So that's who he is. That's like even Robertson at times looks a bit iffy, but that's how they play. Like you cannot really blame those players. That's how they play. That's how they set up with the high press. They're pushing up that field a lot. So it is what it is. Like he's not. I'm not saying he's shit at defending. Same for Cancelo, but the way they play, the way the coach wants to play, the way the team plays, they will get caught out. But it is what it is.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. It's like we're not saying that Trent's a log that's just there, but like if you watch clips of him getting caught out, so like what teams will do is they'll push a skilled winger to isolate Trent one-on-one on the edge of the box, and that's where you can beat him per se. Just because like if you're there, so like for example, if you get past Trent because it's a high press and it's only Trent on his own island over there, then it forces Virgil van Dijk to shift out of position or Joe Matip to shift out of position, which then can free your striker. Because usually how Liverpool defend is they put their two center backs on their center on the opposite team center forward, and what they do is because most teams when they build up they build through the middle and they don't really have a skilled enough winger to go out wide. But when you're playing against a team that can counterattack quickly like a Madrid can, that's where it gets shaky. And like that's like for example the two goals that Man City conceded were off Joe Cancelo's side. So like the cross that Carvajal beat Joe Cancelo because Cancelo was isolated on his own, where he was able to break and get a couple inches of space to send that cross in. So it's stuff like, because it's not like we're saying that they can't defend properly, but it's like if they get caught out, they're going to concede a cross or they're going to pull a defender out of position.
I'm not watching Sport Italia. People saying Sport Italia talking about Muriel again. Yeah, that's old news. Like we're being linked with him since last summer. I think he has 1 year left on his contract, if I'm not mistaken. They want a backup to Vlahovic, a kind of older one, cheap option. Let's see. Like I'm not like a backup to Vlahovic. Like I'm not gonna put a lot into that in terms like if you come with, I don't know, like an absolutely horrendous player, I will be like, okay, you know. But yeah, if Muriel is a backup to Vlahovic, I'm okay with that. Like he's a cheap option. For me, like he's not gonna start games. Like he's not gonna be the main guy. So I'm okay. Like I'm focusing on the starting 11 first, you know, and then we can move on to the left back, and then we can move on to the subs. That's why I keep saying, improve your starting 11 now as much as you can. And next season, you fix the other holes and you start working on that bench. And that's why I keep saying no to the Shilo 25, Danilo an extra year, Cuadrado an extra year, you know.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. The one question that I'm really concerned about is who's going to be the left winger. Like I don't know. Like it could be that one Serbian player, but like that's the only name that's out there. Is it like really only him? Because it's like, I get it that Chiesa is technically going to be the starter for the left wing, but he's out until November, December, around that time frame. Just because November's the World Cup, so he's not going to be playing in it. So more than likely he'll play late October, or not late. Well, if he comes back, best case scenario, late October. And like if it's a later return, he'll come December or January, which like that's going to start being make or break, where you have to start making runs to secure positions on the table. So it's like, I don't know if we're going to have a player that's going to be able to handle the load until Chiesa gets back, and then like a player also that can, I don't want to say push Chiesa for the starting role, but having it be a possibility so that like it doesn't become like, oh, our left wing as a whole. Like, for example, if we were running Moise Kean on the left wing until Chiesa came back, that's just a gaping hole. Whereas like we have a serviceable player that can help ease the load until he gets back. And that's one of the things that I think we should look at, which I'm surprised that the club's not really exploring it right now.
I agree. Also, Sky is talking about the club want to bring in an experienced defender who can be an opportunity, and people are losing their mind because they think about Acerbi, Romagnoli. I don't believe the club is doing that. They cannot do that. If they do that, I will call them out. And that's a big mistake. You cannot let Chiellini walk, have Rugani, have a half player in Bonucci in terms of fitness, and then bring in Acerbi and Romagnoli. Like, I'm sorry, you just can't. If you do that,
that's a huge drop off.
That's understating it. Like, that's horrendous business as a club. You cannot do that. I'm sorry. If they do that, if they think that's gonna help improve us, then they're deluded. Like, I'm sorry. They're actually deluded if they think that's going to improve us. So let's see how that will basically work out. Because Romeo spoke about Acerbi and he said like nothing, not nothing, but like it's more like an idea pushed by agents and stuff, like not something the club is really thinking about at the moment. Um, they cannot do that.
Yeah, and then Misak says Perisic is number one, Kostic is number two. So Perisic is allegedly signing a new deal with Inter, so he's off the table. So right now it's just Kostic.
Yeah, yeah. But I read that Inter are waiting for Perisic to give an answer by Monday, but I think he's gonna accept that. I think he's gonna. Let me see. I'm gonna tweet that out. Let me see. Okay, I was just checking because I cannot watch. That's why I need Justin and Julian to do the shows.
Here, I can do a quick Google search for you.
Okay, let me see. Who's gonna be the experienced backup? Defender? No idea. No idea. Um, that's why I'm like, just wait because I have no idea. I don't think they have an idea. Like when they put news out there saying, "Oh, they're looking for a serious defender," I'm like, just give us names. You know, you have nothing.
All I got is Football Italia, but I don't know how we rate those guys.
And Nina saying, I hope the other wingers pop up after we finish the free agent deals. What on the other wingers? You mean the Kostic or Perisic on that flank, on that side? I think those are the names basically. Because I thought about it. Do you think? Do you can you come up with another left wing name we could bring in?
Not off the top of my tongue.
I thought about it. So people let me know in the chat which left winger could we realistically bring in? That's not Perisic or Kostic. People are saying
So
Sinistera, but let me see.
So the article says that the club gave Perisic an ultimatum by the weekend/Monday for him to decide because their agent has reported that other clubs have offered him 6 million flat because Inter's giving him a 5+1. So the Perisic's agent essentially said that, hey, look, we have other clubs that are offering us 6 million. Projected, they're saying that it's Chelsea and Newcastle that are offering him that much. So Inter is just kind of like, hey, this is what we're going to throw at you, and you've got until the end of the weekend to decide. So that's what I have here with Perisic.
Yeah. And John is saying Sinistera, but we have not been linked with him at all, you know, which is, I would say, weird because he will not cost you a lot of money. He will not cost you. It's Feyenoord. Like with all due respect, it's not Ajax. You know, it's not even PSV. It's Feyenoord, and they're not gonna ask you 50 mil like they're gonna do with Anthony. You know, they're not. I think it's worth a punt. Not a punt because again, I don't know if people watched the Roma game yesterday. Um, for me, Sinistera and Kochku were the best players on that pitch, especially in the second half for Kochku. He picked that up. He picked it up, but Sinistera was, for me, was the best player on that pitch. You know, people can say Smalling, but like just pure of attacking ability or like creativity. Those two were excellent yesterday. The asking price for Sinistera reportedly is 25. Is that a lot of money? I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think that's a pretty good deal.
If you're ready to spend 15 for Kostic, who I like, then surely 25 for Sinistera is not all that crazy.
Yeah, or
all that bad.
Or the club can go above and beyond and somehow sign him Kunku out of nowhere. No.
No, he's going. I think Manu made contact today for Nkunku. But Leipzig again, they made the Champions League, and they're saying we're not selling. So you know what that means. They're gonna sell, but they're gonna overprice it. So we're out of that. It's like Chouamini, like 80 mil. He's not an 80 mil player, but Real Madrid are not desperate, but they have money. They're angry, and they're gonna pay close to that. So
Yeah, it's whenever Madrid enters the negotiations, you guys know like the price is gonna jump like 20 million right off the bat.
yeah.
Them or PSG.
Mm, what's I saying? Kostic, Maria, Pogba, Savic, Gabriel, Dogi, Molina, Raspadori. Yeah,
Yeah, minus the Savic because I just don't see a way that he comes here.
no, like minus a lot of those players because we don't have that money.
Yeah,
We don't have it.
because it's
Like
yeah,
Gabriel
because
is 60, Udogi's 25 to 30, Molina is 30, Raspadori is 30, Kostic is another 15. We don't have that money to spend. So
yeah.
you can forget about that. Yeah, Sinisera, the only link I saw, and that's, to be honest, that's already 2 months ago, was Napoli. But that's basically it, you know. So I don't know. It's like Anin said. Um, Maybe when you sign Di Maria and Pogba, other names start to pop up. But for now, it's Perisic, Kostic, you know, and you need to bring in a left winger. You need, because Chiesa is not going to be fit until, people say, like the start of October. I think that's already being very optimistic. I think if he's ready for
Yeah,
November, around November, start of November, we should already be happy, I would say, with it, because I think people are underestimating the issue he has, you know. Um,
yeah, and like ACLs are easier to come back from now, but at the same time, like most teams take a really conservative approach on them, which that's why because like we have the World Cup in November. I would be shocked if he comes back before the World Cup because there's not a need for him because Italy's not playing. So unless like we're 15th on the table and we need to get some momentum going, that's the only way I see the club rushing him back. But even then, I highly doubt that he comes back before the start of the World Cup, and the end of the World Cup puts you in December practically. So and he's going to probably start the January fixtures. That's where I'm thinking.
yeah, yeah. So yeah. I mean, I was like, there's not, like, it's weird. Like, there's a lot of activity around the club, but it's not really a lot to talk about at the moment, because every day it's basically a repeat of the previous day. You know, it's,
Yeah,
I can predict tomorrow's news, unless I'm gonna jinx it now, and in like, let's say, 30 minutes time, the newspaper have a crazy headline, but I doubt it. Otherwise, somebody would have leaked it now, and we would have known by now.
yeah. I
So
think once Pogba gets signed, once Di Maria and Pogba's done, then we're probably going to get more news and more movement because I really think that the club is waiting for the Pogba and Di Maria deal to get done before they actually start moving on other things. Because, like for example, if you miss out on Pogba, that means you have to adjust and look for a new midfielder, a new main midfielder. So I think the club's just going to loop us until that gets done. So right now we're just waiting on Pogba to confirm with his hairstyle or not this time if he's coming back, but it's going to be slow until Di Maria and Pogba are done.
yeah, yeah, I agree. I can predict tomorrow's news is gonna be Pogba optimistic. Talks this week, Di Maria Saturday they will talk in Paris. Optimistic. Looking at Gabriel for an Arthur swap. Maybe McKennie can leave. Like, it's the same thing.
Yeah, the club wants Gabriel Jesus, but doesn't want to pay the money for him, just like how they've been saying for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, like the Jesus rumors are also strange. I'm not gonna pay 60 million euros for Gabriel Jesus. So
Yeah,
I'll put that out there because it's news, but I think we all know it's not gonna happen. So forget about that. When you're looking at Muriel, like you do not go from Gabriel Jesus to Muriel. you don't. Like that's I would say a drop of like especially price like
Yeah.
that board
Well,
meeting
the
that
thing,
meeting will be insane. It's like oh Gabriel Jesus 60 mil, but if not we get Muriel for 10 mil or something. Like,
yeah, but like I don't understand the thought process on like why they would want Gabriel Jesus where he wants one, he wants the money to be a starter, two, he wants to actually be a starter, unless like somehow the club's convinced that they can put him on the left wing out of nowhere. That to me just like makes no sense because he's not a winger. He's more of a second striker. So I'm a little bit shocked why the club even considers him an option.
yeah, I don't want to see him on the wing also. To be honest, I mean he's not coming, but like no. Misak is saying Gabriel Jesus would be starter as a right wing, nothing else. Then like I don't think he's a right winger, but then you're not signing Di Maria, you know. So like the entire reports they don't make sense. Let's be honest, they don't. Um, let's see. Let's see. Maybe next week. Like we keep saying. I think the journalists just jumped the gun too soon. You know, by
So-
hyping it out, saying it's almost done.
Yep, and then well, we use Morata as a winger. Anything's possible, but so like even at Atletico Madrid, Morata kind of played in coming in through the through the left. So like Morata has the attributes of being a winger because like for example, Morata can cross. Morata does have speed. So like him being as a number 9 never really made sense to me because he was kind of like it was like a David Villa, where David Villa was like a support striker to Fernando Torres for Spain, where David Villa usually played on the left wing.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that Morata's as good as David Villa was, but like for example, to me, Morata's kind of like a baby David Villa, where they almost play similar, except like David Villa knows how to finish and Morata can't. But like both of them would come in on the left and they would provide crosses for like Fernando Torres, just kind of like how Morata provides for Dusan. So it's like that one makes more sense, but like for me, I haven't seen Gabriel Jesus kind of play through the winger at a top level. Like coming in as a youth product, playing as that, and then switching is totally different. Because like for example, De Ligt was a center attacking midfielder when he was a youth player at Ajax, and then he switched, and then he switched to center back. So I don't know. I'm a little. Because like Morata, it made sense just because like how he was utilized and he was more of a multi-functioning forward. For me, Jesus hasn't really demonstrated anything outside of being that like second striker, false nueve, just because like he's not a target man. So like one thing would be I'd be curious to see is how he'd line up with Holland on the team if he even sees the field. I think he's gonna get sold before the season starts, regardless. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't see because one, I always have like there's always like a jinx whenever a Brazilian player comes into Juve where they just don't work out. Besides a few, and I don't remember the last time we've had a forward that's Brazilian that actually panned out for us. I mean, you could say that Dani Alves panned out, but that's just setting the bar low. Or not Dani Alves, Danilo. Dani Alves played well, but it was only for a season.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, let's see how that will develop. It's still early, but that's news. I think we're gonna wrap it up for today because there's not, like I said, there's not really like it's repetitive. It's repetitive, and I'm being nervous because my mic is still not working, and I tried everything, so I'm in desperation mode now. I need to figure it out. Plan Y at the moment. I'm almost at the end. Where's that? So yeah, let's see. Tomorrow will be live with me, Julian, and Justin. So the three of us again, dailies every day of the week, but Saturday with the Champions League final, no live unless, like somebody said, Pogba gets not announced, but like here we go. Then after that we will do a live. If not, it's a day off. Also on Sunday, there's a late night on Sunday. I need to check. But there will be dailies. So stay tuned for that. Thanks everybody in the chat for joining. Thanks Dash for joining.
Absolutely.
And then we will see everyone tomorrow. Ciao.